Hello, everyone. I thought I would review the film Napoleon, Ridley Scott's new film. Now, overall I really enjoyed this film, even though it does seem like I'm the only one that I know who really did, because the film has gotten lukewarm reviews, and even the people I went to see to see the movie with didn't take very kindly to it. But overall, I enjoyed the film. Now, of course, there are some things that I did take issue with. Although I'm not the kind of person that goes, well, if there are some things that I didn't like in a movie, or if there are choices that the director made that I wouldn't have made, that therefore it's a bad film. Like I just don't think in black and white terms like that. And now, first, I'll talk about the things that I didn't like, and then I'll get to things that I did like. I know a lot of people do it the reverse way, but I'll talk about what I didn't like first. Well, I felt that Joaquin's performance as Napoleon was very uneven. That sometimes he seemed authoritative like Napoleon, and then other times he really didn't. I felt that his performance lacked consistency. I also felt that the relationship between him and Josephine wasn't really set up very well in the beginning. It got better as the movie went along, but I felt that they needed to talk more. There needed to be more dialogue. And there was dialogue in the trailers that wasn't in the film, and I think that might have helped. I think that it might be in the extended edition, who knows. And I also felt that because they were trying to tell the entire story of Napoleon's life, that it seemed too cramped and compact into one film. And if you didn't know anything about Napoleon, which even I'm not an expert on Napoleon. I know a little about him because of documentaries and such, but and other films. But I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means. Um, but if you didn't know a whole lot about Napoleon, you might not know what's going on at times, and so the pacing was kind of uneven. But there was a lot that I did enjoy about the film. I loved the battle sequences; those were very exciting. The cinematography was breathtaking. And I also love the performance of Vanessa Kirby as Josephine, which she is one of my favorite actresses right now. I really love her presence and her eyes, especially her voice. I mean, there's she has a lot going for her. But anyway, she gave a very, I guess you could say, a spellbinding performance. A, and But anyway, I also felt that towards the end of the movie, that their relationship started becoming more dramatic, and especially when he started trying to cast her aside, and that you really felt for Josephine in moments like that. I also think that the letters that they wrote, I think the dialogue in the letters I thought was more well written than what they said to each other in person. Perhaps because those are the actual letters, I don't know. Especially towards the end, when there's a letter where Josephine talks about how she's fading like a flower, and I really liked that passage in particular. So there's a lot about the film that I like. It really does immerse you in a sense. Now, and also just the battle sequences kind of take you away to another time. It's escapism. I'm sure when the director's cut comes out, I will get this film and put it on wherever I'm in the mood to watch an historical epic that because it's going to take me to another time, another place. And now some people are complaining because they don't think the film is historically accurate. Well, here's the thing: is that I think that's a very inconsistent kind of criticism because the vast majority of historical films are not accurate. I mean, I don't mean just to deviate slightly. Many of them deviate quite a lot, like things like Braveheart and or even or do you think the Ten Commandments, for example, was historically accurate, or Richard III, or for example, Shakespeare's play? Because there's a lot of inaccuracies in Shakespeare's plays. I mean, for historical plays, for example, you have Richard III, who in the play is portrayed as just an outright villain, and the play portrays him as killing people who, in the historical record, he was never actually proven to have killed, and so there's many or films like The Patriot and just almost any historical film you can think of has a lot of inaccuracies. But the thing is that I don't go to a film expecting a history lesson or or a documentary or or anything like that. I expect to be taken to another place, and I expect to be excited dramatically. I expect to be for my emotions to be touched. That's what I go for. I don't go for historical accuracy. Now, I do think that a film needs to have a sense of internal consistency. So, for example, if you have like Robin Hood is played by, let's say, a Japanese man, that can throw you off because it's not internally consistent within the world. Um, but there needs to be a, so I guess I like accuracy in that sense, but in terms of reflecting what actually happened, that's not something I'm interested in because we're dealing with art, and when a director makes a movie, or when an artist makes a movie or writes a book or does anything, at least I know this is how it is for me. I'm not concerned primarily with facts because facts don't inherently mean anything in art if they're not going to help you tell a good story. Um, the things that I look for facts are only useful insofar as they serve the dramatic narrative, characterization, or some kind of aesthetic value. Outside of that, facts do not matter, and they have never mattered in terms of art, or at least they have never been put first when it comes to making art. Now, in history, yes, the facts matter more than anything else, but not in art. In art, aesthetic value matters far more. So I think many of these criticisms are just illegitimate. Ultimately, they are also inconsistent because I just think this is the internet bitching. I think that if many of these other classic historical films, from the past, many of the sword sandal films, for example, from the 50s, are far more inaccurate than even Napoleon is. If those came out today, people would be bitching in the same way, and because negativity always gets more clicks and attention,